Hi everyone, I hope you're okay. Today I'm going to be reading chapter 4 of Slime, so I hope you enjoy it. Chapter 4, Bogies Under the Bed. Ned found the jars. Just one jar at first. In a deep sleep, Ned had rolled off his bed in the dead of the night. Thud. Ouch! The fall woke him up. Just as he was about to haul himself back up, Ned noticed something glinting in the darkness under his bed. He reached out and found it was a jar. The label in his sister's scrawled handwriting simply read, Bogies. On a closer inspection, he discovered it really was a jar bursting with bogies. They looked very much like Jemima's. She had picked, licked and flicked so many at Ned over the years that he could recognise them in any lineup in an instant. Hers were always brownish shade of green. At once, Ned knew his wicked sister was up to something. But why had she hidden her own bogies in a jar under his bed? Lifting up the sheets, he saw that this was just one of what must have been hundreds under there, each containing something more disgusting than the last. Ned's eyes bulged as he read the labels. There's all the disgusting things that are under there. One by one, Ned pulled all of the jars from under his bed. He was careful not to clink them together. The sound would wake up his wicked sister, who was sleeping in her room next door. Then Ned hoisted himself up onto his battered old wheelchair so he could go hunting for more jars. One good thing about getting around on wheels is that you can glide silently and undetected. As long as you don't bump into the furniture, donk, or run over the cat, meow. Ned rolled past his sister's bedroom and thought he would head in to the living room. Now, thought Ned, where would be good hiding places? It turned out everywhere was a good hiding place. There were jars, and more jars of yuck-tastic stuff hidden all over the room. Behind the curtains, under the sofa, on top of the bookshelf, in the sideboard, under the cushions, behind the plant pot, inside the lampshade, under the coffee table. The same was true for all of the kitchen and the hallway. Rolling past the boiler cupboard, Ned heard gurgling. Gurgle, furgle, durgle. On opening the door, he could see jars and jars with gunk oozing out of them. The heat from the boiler must have made the gunk expand. It was a wonder that none of the jars hadn't exploded. Once again, all of the jars were labelled, each full of something that was more puzzling than the last. What was all of this stuff? And more importantly, what was she planning to do with it all? The boy approached his mother and father's room. He peeked through the gap in the door. Their bed was empty. It was the early hours of the morning and the pair were already at work. No doubt Dad was heading out to sea and Mum was setting up her market stall. A quick search by Ned of the back of their wardrobe revealed jars and more jars. Curiouser and curiouser, he muttered to himself. Then the boy rolled back into the hall, making his way towards his dreaded sister's bedroom. Trundle, trundle, trundle. Ned was sure somewhere in there would be the answer. He put his ear up against her door. Jemima was fast asleep, snoring like a steam train. The sign on her bedroom read, Entry strictly forbidden. Any unauthorised persons who go beyond this point will get a boot up the bottom. Now was Ned's chance. The boy took a deep breath and then, as quietly as he could, he opened the door. Click! And gently rolled himself inside. Trundle. The boy hadn't been allowed in his sister's bedroom for years. No wonder she kept everyone out. Her room was full to bursting with jars, and more jars of gunk. There must have been thousands upon thousands of jars in there. all the way from the floor to the ceiling. No wonder Jemima had resorted to hiding all of the jars all over the house. There was no more room in her room. It was a miracle she could even get in or out. As Ned watched his sister sleep, noting that she wore her steel-capped boots in bed, he scanned her bedroom for clues. There must be an answer somewhere to what she's planned to do with all of these jars of gunk. In the corner of the bedroom where Jemima's school exercise books were, Ned knew that his sister never did scrap of work at school, so he was surprised to see how well thumbed the books looked. Upon opening them, Ned discovered that they weren't full of schoolwork at all. Oh no! They were full of plans for the diabolical tricks she was about to play on him. I'm going to stop there because we're up to our new chapter, so I can't wait to read on tomorrow to chapter 5. I'll give you a clue. It's called The Bath of Doom. So I'm going to stop there. Okay, have a lovely evening, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.